Happy Sunday, CFS 5-3, May 3rd. We have your sweaty Sunday for you. First, the durability, 2 to 3 rounds of some skipping. So I put reps in there, but you could also just skip down your driveway and back, and then change the skip down and back. So 10 to 20 skips. You can count both legs or one leg. It's really up to you for that one. But we're just going to do a normal skip. So just skipping, not thinking too much about it. And then we're going to come back and do skipping for height. And so when you do that skipping for height, we're going to use our knee and really try to drive up to get some height. This is the big thing. So you want to make sure that you have your opposite hand and opposite leg lifted. So for your first skip, you'll probably just do a normal skip and won't think too much, but I want you to focus on your arms. So when you skip for height, sometimes this happens, our same arm and leg come up. And you might think it's not that big of a deal, but it's a huge coordination piece. It takes us years when we're little to learn how to actually walk. So you do want to focus on that and not lose that connection with the brain, that contralateral connection. So again, when you're skipping your normal skip, the first one, when you're not thinking too much, I want you to focus and make sure your opposite knee and opposite hand are together, and then skip for height. And then the third one is skipping for distance. So you're just trying to cover more distance with each skip. So you got 10 to 20 of those, or again, down and back your driveway, or around your house if you have the room. And then you're gonna go to plank taps, so 20 to 30 of those. So durability is always there to keep you durable. That's the idea with it, and to prime the warm-up, or prime the workout. So we're gonna be doing some jumping in the workout and some shoulder stability in the workout. So that's your durability. If you plan on modifying the workout and you're not gonna jump and you're gonna do lunges and squats, instead of skipping, you can just pull the knee up into the chest. And then you're gonna practice your squats and your lunges. So you'll probably do a couple more of those instead of the jumping. All right, so for your actual workout, you're gonna do a contralateral kick out, a jump lunge combo, a hollow object, toe touch, and then around the knees, and then overhead lunging with any objects. So just that last piece, the overhead lunge, you can overhead lunge with both hands, with one hand, with a broomstick out here, with a broomstick here, with a dumbbell, or even just iso. So just even having your arms, if you're not used to doing overhead work, lunging and squatting, just having your arms up by your ears, working on that shoulder flexion, even that's huge if you don't normally do it. Okay, so contralateral kick out. I'm gonna be in tabletop with my knees off the floor. So we call this like a crawl position. And last week we did just the contralateral lift. This week I'm gonna go for a kick out. So my leg is gonna kick out to the side and my opposite hand comes up at the same time. So it looks like this, okay? You can also kind of like change it up a little bit and just have your knee come out. So my knee is lifting, almost like a fire hydrant. So you have 50 reps. You can definitely play with that. If that doesn't work, you can just stay on the knees and lift laterally, right? So I'm still sticking my arm out to the side for balance, but it's really that leg kicking out. So your hand can just lift off the floor. Your hand can kick out. I'm not really too concerned with that one. For safety, sometimes I just hover it off the floor so I can put it back down. But the leg, we're definitely kicking that one to the side, or at least lifting the leg, sort of like a dog peeing on a tree. We call them like fire hydrants. So you have 50 of those. Every time you lift up, it counts as a rep. So 1, 2, 3, easier to count that way. So you have 50 of those. Contralateral just means opposite sides of the body. And then you have your jump lunge combo. So every rep counts. So I'm gonna go for a squat, jump, to a lunge, jump, back to a squat, jump, to a lunge, back to a squat. If you notice my squat, I'm way above 90. So these do not have to be the depth for your squats. My lunges, if you watched, I jumped and my knees were bent. You know, your leg might be a little bit back here, but I'm cushioning my landing with that bend of the knee, but I'm definitely not going to the floor. If you need more of a challenge and you would like to go to the floor, that is totally optional, but not required for today, okay? All right, so again, every rep counts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 50, okay? if you are smart with math, you're gonna realize there's 3 movements there, so you'll be a little off with one more leg, but you're gonna be okay. Okay, so then hollow body for an object. So this might be a weight, it might be a soup can, it might be a yoga block, it can be nothing. So you don't really need the weight, you just need the object. So I have a really light dumbbell right here, and what I'm gonna do is with my feet straight up, I'm gonna go for a toe touch. So 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So again, every rep counts. To make it a little bit easier, you're going for a toe touch and then around the knees. There's like a little bit of lift that's happening there. The bigger the object, not the more weight, but the bigger the object, the harder that is. So if you had like a medicine ball, even if it was light, but big volume going around the knees is gonna be a little bit more challenging there. Excuse me, every time I work out it makes me burp. Okay, so those are your hollow body toe touches and then around the knees. Again, object, 50 reps total, and then you have your overhead lunges. Okay, so again, you can just hold a broomstick, and it's up to you whether you hold it in your snatch grip, here, somewhere in here. You should always play with all these variations. So if you always do this, maybe we're gonna try something a little more challenging, okay? So arms up overhead. I'm just aiming for my object to be over my head, not super far back here, which I can't even do, and not over here. So something overhead, right? And then I'm gonna do my step back lunges that way. When you do step back lunges and you have your arms overhead, my normal lunge, I hinge a little bit, but now that I'm overhead, it brings me more upright. So it's more shoulder, more rib and belly expansion, and then also hip and quad. So there's a lot of places, depending on where you're tight, you know, you're gonna feel it more there. For me, my shoulders are super tight, so that's a big shoulder give for me. So just be very mindful of the back. If you don't normally do overhead lunges, I would really strongly suggest just using a broomstick. You're gonna feel your shoulders on fire just from using that lift right there, and you don't need a lot of weight. Okay, so those are your lunges, overhead. Again, single arm, you know, weight, no weight, even just your arms overhead is perfect. If you wanna make it a little more challenging, a little RX plus, which I didn't write down in the actual WOD, is deficit. So I put my yoga blocks here. These are cork blocks, so they're really firm. The regular yoga blocks are really flimsy, but you could do this off of a box, off of a step, put some books, right? And so I'm gonna do deficit lunges. So overhead, stepping down. I'm still gonna maintain that upright torso, but now I'm stepping down from something to make it a little more challenging. All right, so that can be a little RX plus for you, especially if you are more flexible. That is gonna give you a nice stretch, and it's not gonna be too demanding, so I really like that one. So you have 50 of those, and then you go back through it. And then we have our B or bonus round. So that's gonna be overhead squats. So I'm gonna take, again, snatch grip, clean grip, somewhere in here. The closer you are, I would say the more challenging that squat is gonna be. This is gonna be a lot easier. So if you want to, just go for that snatch grip. And let's just say today, as long as you can bend over with the bar, that should be good, okay? And then I'm gonna go for a 3, 3, 3. So that's 3 seconds down, 3 second hold, 2, 3, and then 3 seconds on the way back up, okay? You've got 10 to 20 of those. The slower you go, the harder that is. So if you wanted to increase that to like 4 or 5 seconds down, 5 second hold, 5 second up, you're probably gonna end up doing less reps. Rest in between for a minute or two, kind of get some water, organize your weights, and then try 2 more sets. So the overhead squat, even if you never want to put weight in it, is such a good mobility piece. Greg Glassman calls it the best core indicator, and what he really means is that strength and that connection. So I want to be in a back bend to start. That's usually really helpful for me. I typically stand like this, so I have to really focus on starting with the chest really lifted, butt back, and then allowing that back bend to happen. Sometimes it's really hard to get that connection, so that is helpful for me. Again, 3 seconds down, 3 second hold. When you're down there, make sure that bar is sort of over the head, maybe like sort of at the back of the head. and then coming up nice and slow. What I would like you to focus on today with this, since it doesn't have a lot of weight, is just pushing it to the ceiling. There's a lot of cues, but let's just focus on just that. So wherever I am with my arms, pushing up the whole time. You've got lots of time in that movement. You know, you're just moving really slow. So the whole time I'm like push, 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 right? And that's your B side. When you guys are warming up for any WOD, you should always practice. We've been in CFS classes so long, we know this. You should always practice the movement. A good thumb for me is doing 10 of each thing. So you've got these 50 reps for these 4 movements. You should practice 10 of them in like a little mini WOD. And you can even practice the less dynamic, so like a lunge and then a squat, like stepping, right? And then add in the jumping. Same thing with the lunges, practice your regular lunges and then maybe practice the deficit so that you're ready to go for the actual WOD. Don't just look at the WOD and then like jump into it. Still do your general warm-up and then practice the movements at least 10. That's usually what I say. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to get instant notifications when CrossFit uploads videos, just hit subscribe and I'll see you on Sugar WOD.